Coming up on show 661, Sony surprises with a concept EV, the MG ZS is a cheap EV down under, and the updated Kona EV in its home market. Those stories, plus South Korea's expanding budget for e-mobility, Byton's plans for apps, Amazon in more cars, and the wallbox that's bi-directional. Well, those stories will be coming up on a regular episode today of EV News Daily. I'm also publishing a bonus episode all about Elon Musk and Tesla's Chinese launch of the locally made Model 3, plus the Model Y launch there too. Have a look for that bonus show today in your podcast feed or even on YouTube. I watched the live stream earlier today. I have the speeches that Elon gave and they're so good, so moving, so emotive. I'd like to play you them in full, but I occasionally hear from listeners that say, look, we want to hear about Tesla, but not exclusively, and so rather than just pack this show full of that, I'll make a bonus podcast. Watch out for that one. Well, good morning, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the show, EV News Daily for Wednesday 8th of January. My name is Martyn Lee, and I've been through every EV story today, and I've picked out the ones to save you time that you need to know about. Thank you as always to myev.com. If you are buying and selling and researching and financing and looking for warranties for EVs in the USA, you need to check out myev.com pronto. Sony just made what might be one of the biggest surprise announcements at this year's CES. From the Walkman to the car. Yeah, you heard me right. It's called the Sony Vision S. And okay, it is just a concept car. In fact, it's a concept sedan. A saloon in my language, that's meant to showcase the Japanese tech conglomerate's many different strengths, from entertainment products to camera sensors and even more. Reports tech site The Verge today. They say that the Vision S features 33 different sensors, both inside and outside of the car. It's got multiple widescreen displays, got 360 audio, whatever the heck that is, but it's got it. Always on connectivity, yeah, a lot of new cars have got that, and some pieces coming from the industry players like BlackBerry and Bosch as well. It's also powered by a newly designed EV platform. That does sound exciting. It appears to be engineered by the team at Magna, who are experts in putting together cars. Long history of making cars, making vehicles for other people, actually. And so it's a good name, big name for Sony to approach to do this platform. Well, Sony says that they have designed a platform that will be able to be used for other vehicle types, not just sedans, saloons, but SUVs as well. Head inside, and the Vision S features a dashboard spanning screen, a bit like Byton's screen. It goes from side to side. It's a huge wide screen. For rear seat passengers, they've got some screens in the back of the front seat headrests, and many more things as well. Okay, so the reaction that I saw online today varied from the typical negative people that spend their life on Twitter, surprise, saying, well, anybody can make a concept car, through to real positivity. This news broke through past the EV blogs and well into the tech blogs, all the tech bloggers that are at CES to cover that. All of those big sites talking about electric cars. Of course, if I hadn't made it clear, this is a concept EV from Sony. It makes you wonder, because the likes of Apple have been talked about as making an EV for, well, years now. But could there be a surprise name? Dyson was a surprise name until recently, when people said, really? They're going from vacuum cleaners to cars? And they just threw their hats in. They waved the white flag recently to say, you know what, we can't do it. Well, they can do it, but they can't do it at a price that would make the cars that they wanted to make affordable to that target market. So it makes you wonder if the likes of a Sony could take an EV seriously. And long-time listeners of the podcast know that one of the little cliches that I like to say, an EV is just a computer and a battery, and it happens to be on wheels. An EV lives on the software and the battery pack. That's all it is. The motors are largely commoditized. Everything else, the brakes, the seats, the dash, everything. Although there's some clever tech, and some people have their own unique things like Tesla's heating and cooling system, you know, there's some clever ideas, but largely everything else apart from the battery technology and the software, which sits on the CPU and the GPU, Everything else can be pretty much commoditized with cars. Those two things are what make an EV, right? So, really, you're looking at a lot of companies that could potentially say, well, we play in that area already. No, we don't make things that have 4 wheels on each corners. Makes you wonder who else might be interested in getting into the area of EVs. Makes me so excited to think about. Moving on, MG's freshly introduced ZS EV is an pure electric. It's a small SUV. It's about the same size as the Kona, the e-Niro, that kind of thing. And it's claimed the title as Australia's most affordable pure battery electric vehicle, muscling out the previous cheapest zero-emissions car, the Hyundai Ioniq. According to whichcar.com.au, the Chinese-owned brand is offering the first 100 customers to place an order for the ZS EV a drive-away price of under 47,000 Aussie dollars. That undercuts the Ioniq by $1,500, I think, following a price increase for the small sedan late last year. Now, the MG, although it's a famous name, isn't really the MG that you think about going way back, being a legendary British car maker. The name, the brand, the logo, the badge was bought by the Chinese. The company SAIC bought that, and they're using the name MG to go on their EVs. And I don't mean that in any way as disparagingly as some people may have heard that, because they're good cars, right? The combustion version of the MG ZS EV, the fossil version, has a 3-star Euro NCAP safety rating for crash protection and crash avoidance. And 3 stars these days is poor. I mean, I wouldn't buy that car. If it was, right, okay, so I'm taking a risk anyway, it's a Chinese manufacturer, which is probably fine. I've never owned a Chinese car. It'd be the first one. And then 3 out of 5 stars, you know what, I'm going to give it a pass. The EV version, they've sorted. 5-star Euro NCAP crash test. Big battery. A great app for it, by the way, which I'm not sure is available in all territories. It certainly is in the videos that Bjorn Nyland's been making from Thailand. If that app can be made available everywhere they're selling the car, that'll be great. Look, it's a well-spec'd car for not too much money. So if you're in Australia and you want to have a look at an EV, have a look at that one. If you're in South Korea, Hyundai yesterday launched their new, upgraded, all-electric Kona pure electric model for the home market in South Korea. They are strengthening their eco-friendly lineup, says the website urdupoint.com. Well, the 2020 version of the Kona Electric comes with more features for driver and passenger convenience. It now has heated second-row seats. The nav system is now 10.25 inches. It's got a new air filtration system. The company said in a statement that the upgraded Kona has the same battery sizes, so the big one is the 64 kilowatt-hour battery, and it's priced at 47 million won, which is about $40,000 US, but always be very careful if you make a direct price-to-price comparison. But it's good news that Hyundai are continually improving their EVs, if only you know what's coming. If only they could make a few more of them. Now, I don't know whether they're battery constrained or whether here in Europe that a lot of the automakers, I don't know whether they've been intentionally holding back, because from the 1st of January, I need to make a special show about this as well. There's all sorts of changes which basically, I won't go into the long grass of this, but it basically means if you sell an EV, you can probably sell a couple of stinky fossil SUVs because of the weighting system and points now. So, I don't know if that's what they've been doing, if any of the manufacturers have been doing that, but, oh, come on, Hyundai, come on, Kia. The South Koreans have been making some really, really great EVs in quite small numbers. Anyway, let's move on. And we'll stay with Korea, because the South Korean government is going to provide a total of 950 billion won. That's about 630 million euros in this year, this calendar year, 2020, to subsidise EVs. They want to expand the network of charging stations across the country, and it signifies a 60% increase from the government funding of last year, says Electrive.com when announcing the new funding for this year. Back in last September, 740 billion of the 950 was earmarked for purchase premiums for pure battery electric cars, for increasing the charging infrastructure, subsidies for battery electric vehicles, and also for some fuel cell vehicles as well, plus some money to help build hydrogen filling stations. They do a bit like the Japanese. The Koreans kind of ideologically keep talking up hydrogen and how cars should be going, that way, and I'm not sure I totally agree with too much of that. Let's talk about Byton next. Byton must be the best known car with a massive screen, a 48-inch wraparound digital display. The M-Byte SUV is the car that they're making. It's got a host of other screens sprinkled throughout the vehicle. Those screens get all the attention, but all they really do is deliver. They're the stage, if you like, for what Byton describes as a smart device on wheels. That's a good phrase. I might steal that. A smart device on wheels. Basically what I was saying about 10 minutes ago. According to TechCrunch website, the company announced yesterday at CES, the annual tech trade show happening right now in Las Vegas, it will launch a developer program to unlock the kinds of apps that will turn the screens inside the M-Byte into an interactive and valuable experience for customers, in much the same way that Tesla's done with the Tesla Theatre, in much the same way as other cars are doing. See the next story that I'm about to bring you. And, of course, for that, they need apps. They need utilities. And if they haven't got a big old team of people to do it, why not release the ability for other people to make those apps? So, that's their plan anyway. And let's move on to the story that I mentioned. Fiat Chrysler and BMW, both of which like to introduce new tech sometimes ahead of their time, announced at CES that they're going to be offering TV streaming on Amazon's Fire TV in their new vehicles. This builds on the story that I mentioned yesterday. And according to Mashable, the streaming service will be available in some BMW and Chrysler cars as an entertainment option on the dashboard screens, the ones that are built into the car. These are cars that are connected already. You don't use your smartphone, no syncing with your personal device, no extra device stuck to the windscreen or something. These are the kind of cars that are connected cars, connected devices. And much like, say, like Tesla Theatre with Netflix and all the new games and all those kind of things, where you will be able to use that big centre screen for a variety of purposes, for entertainment on Amazon's Fire TV technology. And the final story on at least the first podcast for today, your non-bonus edition, Wallbox. Wallbox is a smart charging company and leading manufacturer of EV charging stations in Europe, and today announced in the USA the introduction of Quasar. Quasar is the world's first what they call bi-directional EV charger for home use. Quasar not only charges your EV, but can send electricity back to the grid and power your home. They describe this as the world's first EV charger for the home. Now, I might add, it's most certainly, in my opinion, not the world's first bidirectional charger. There are many examples in this country, pilot schemes, admittedly through your local power provider, but certainly in Japan as well, where they've got the Chademo plug on Nissan cars. Bidirectional charging has been a thing for quite a long time now. So I don't really agree with that press release, but, I mean, hey. The press release says that Wallbox's team of engineers found an innovative way to make this technology available for consumers in a sleek and compact size with high efficiency at a significantly lower price. Quasar works with a mobile app. It works with iOS and Android as well. Energy management platforms are involved to help manage your bidirectional usage. It works in tandem with your grid provider, your energy management system in your home. If you have a thermostat, lights, maybe I'm guessing a power wall as well, or some home battery storage, it will work with that to work intelligently. Like I say, not the first. They say they're the first. I don't think they're the first to do this. I know they're not the first. However, they claim that they are the first to do it at a price of which is affordable to consumers and launching it in the US. So congratulations to the team there at Wallbox. I do love the idea of using the big old battery underneath your car, because a lot of home battery storage, if you think about putting a Tesla Powerwall in, or the other options as well, they are between, say, 4 and 14-ish kilowatt hours. Well, if you have even a basic EV these days that's 30 or 35 kilowatt hours, that's a lot of storage that you can have. And if you're not using your car the next day, and you know that you'll be charging it from your solar panels or whatever, I just think bidirectional chargers and wall boxes have to be the future. I mean, I'd love one myself, wouldn't you? Anyway, good news from that team. Let's get on to question of the week this week with myev.com. So what are your 2020 predictions then, apart from the stuff that we know is going to happen? What do you predict we will see in 2020? Let me know. You can email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com, my personal email address. And if you want to, you can leave a comment on the socials, and I'll read out your message this Sunday on the show. Well, thank you to 230 patrons of the podcast. Your generosity, your support through December when I took a break is enormously appreciated. And if you would like to help fund this show that informs, maybe even entertains a couple of people around the world every single day, you know what to do. Check out patreon.com/evnewsdaily. 660 previous shows live in the archive. You can always leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts if you have a couple of minutes. Makes a really big difference. Come and say hi on the socials in the meantime if you search for the phrase EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you very soon. And remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.